So, Gina, the obviously your work is amazing, and oftentimes, here's what's interesting. Oftentimes in our world, we don't know who is behind the scenes. And as a director, as a writer, you have been able to do so many amazing projects. When did you realize people were solely interested in who you were, not necessarily the actors that you casted in your films?
Wow. Um, you know what? I think it was Old Guard. It took that
You
long.
think, Gina? Old Guard? That was yesterday.
I know.
What about Love and Basketball? Love and Basketball? That's a cult classic. That's life. Is that just for the culture? Did the culture only appreciate that?
No, but which I love though. They love Sanaa, like, which is beautiful to have that character be an ideal. Who was based on me, who I was never an ideal in high school. You know, so I love that she is at the forefront of what that film represents for so many people.
Okay, so I'll put a pin in Old Guard. You guys have to watch it. That was, I mean, Gina, amazing. Obviously, I love Charlize. I don't know how to pronounce her name all the time. Charlize Theron. Is it Theron or Theron?
I don't know.
Okay, but let's go to Love and Basketball. You're
Mhm.
right, Sanaa. That really did set her trajectory in terms of being an actress, and something that's near and dear to my heart is sports. And from my understanding, it's loosely based on your life, or if not all based on your life. Is that true?
I'd say it's half autobiographical.
Tell me what part is when you started to write it. What was similar? Like, tell me the characters that were similar, or the situation that was similar to who you are.
Monica, uh, full out in relationship with my mom and my dad. My dad was my biggest fan at every game. My mom didn't quite get it. And but I will say this, doing the movie absolutely helped me let go of so much and understand where she was coming from. Alfred helped me with that as well. In just talking to me, trying to connect with the character, and me being able to talk about my mom and start to realize all the amazing things about my mom. But yeah, who Monica was how she behaved on the court. Um, yeah, what she was fighting for, what she wanted. That was me pouring it all in.
Where'd you go to high school at?
Pacific Grove High School, the Breakers.
Okay, and what was your position? Point guard, PG?
Point guard. Come on now, point
Okay,
guard.
okay. So it was down to the T. You had the ball in your hands. Your so the love interest, was that someone in real life, or you added that because you got to have a love interest?
Yeah, I added that though. The kiss is kids. That was based on my first kiss, which we counted on our fingers. I did 10 seconds. I was a little faster than Monica. She did.
When you were writing that, and the research, according to my research, you had to develop the script at a writing lab. Is that true?
Well, I spent a year and a half writing it, and with great help from Reggie Rock, my husband. And then I went out with it, and every single person turned it down. Every studio, every production company turned it down, and I thought it was dead. Like I just spent a year and a half of my life wasted. And then the Sundance Lab happened to hear about the script and called and asked to read it, and then asked me to come in to talk about it. And that absolutely changed the trajectory of that story, that script in my life.
Tell me how that works. Everyone said no, and then through the business, through networking, the Sundance Lab says this seems like it could be something special. You take it there and do what?
It's amazing. It's an amazing program. You get mentors. So I had Scott Frank, who is an incredible writer. Kathy Bates was one of my mentors. Paula Tenasio. So these great writers and actors who talk to you about your work, they're not supposed to really give you notes, but in talking with them and getting some of their expertise, you start to figure out things about your script and how to improve it. And then the biggest thing that they do is they put a reading on, and they put a reading on of Love and Basketball, and that's where and they help you cast it and they invite the industry. And Spike Lee's company was there that night, and they heard it and came up to me and said, "We want this," and that was amazing.
And then that was all she wrote? Because this sounds very fairy tale. It sounds like I know it didn't happen that way in real life. I know there was much more work put into it. It seems like, oh, they said no. I went somewhere. They said yes. Spike Lee was like, give it to me. I know it wasn't that simple.
Yeah, that whole to get to that point was a lot of tears, a lot of like, fuck,
Uh huh.
wants this story that was so clear in my head. Like that's soul crushing to put yourself so deeply into something and to have a whole industry say, I don't get it. I don't care. We don't want it. Sundance, they look for voices that are different or unique than what Hollywood is putting out. So that was the benefit that they heard about the story. And the thing is, the industry recognized it was good writing, it was a good script, but they didn't see the value in it. They didn't see the value in those characters. Um, and that's what's so tough to be told that.
So you say they don't see the value. Is it because the characters were black and they
Yeah,
didn't understand if people would relate to the black characters?
100%.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So then when it is in your mind, was Love and Basketball a success? In my mind, it was a success. In your mind, was it a success?
Absolutely. Yeah, one, that it even got made. But two, yeah, it had a good life at the when it was in theaters, and that was back in the day when we had VHS. When that came out, it found a whole nother life, after theaters, and then it just kept growing, which is like I'll never get over that. I'll never get over that people still watch the film today
It
or show
is.
kids.
I think of films like Love and Basketball. I think of The Best Man. I think of
Love Jones.
Love Jones. I think where are those type of films now? I feel like the culture, I feel like the community, those are true love stories. And to me, it could have been any character. It just so happens that they were black. And I feel as if they don't greenlight those projects anymore. So if you're telling me back in the day, they all told you no. Could you imagine what people are trying to put out now that is similar? I can even imagine people paying attention.
Yeah, I was asked the other day, do I think Love and Basketball would be made today? It might have been made on Netflix, but
Mm.
studios, they have just shrunk, and it's all about IP and remakes and sequels. It's really tough to do something original in the theatrical marketplace right now.
Is it tough to do something based around black characters in the theatrical marketplace right now? Because that's what I want.
I mean, yeah, making films about black women are the hardest films to get made, bar
And
none.
that's I mean, let me tell you something. You put out the best stories about black women and you're relentless about it, but it gives me hope and I am encouraged. So when you have this vision as you have had and this calling has been placed on your life, you go out to the marketplace to give us what we need, us me being a black woman.
Yep.
Do you get discouraged?
Um. Oh, absolutely. But um, I write what I want to see, and I only write what I'm passionate about, and that is what fuels me and fuels the fight because it's always going to be a fight, and you would be shocked at what people say to your face in a room. Um, so yeah,
Like
it's got
what?
to start there. Oh, let's not cast the male lead black because then you've got two black leads, and that's going to shrink the box office. And there's too many black people in this script. I mean, it's insane. Or diminishing the black character in the script to make her less than the white lead. Like you wouldn't believe, and to have a front row seat to that fuels the fight, that anger, or I'll call it rage. Um, Absolutely. It is, yes, being in a sustained fight for the last 20 years, but there's so few of us that we have to fight. The few of us that are out there, we have to fight.
There's no choice.
Mm-mm.
Especially when it's the calling and the passion that you feel. We have no other choice. We can't help but to do just that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You wish you could turn it off and it would be easier, but you can't. When
Right.
did you know that as a, and I don't know, everyone sometimes knows, but some people get a calling when they're 7 or 8. They just know, the knowers. When did
Mhm.
you know this is what you wanted to do?
Mhm. In high school, even though I'd been writing short stories my whole life, like ever since I was maybe 5 or 6, um, in high school, I was addicted to soap operas. Uh,
All My
and so
Children, General
no,
Hospital?
I was the NBC. I was Days of Our Lives, Another World,
Okay.
Santa Barbara. Uh, that had Robin Wright in it. I mean, come on. Um, so and then I read an article in Soap Opera Digest, that's how bad it was, about a soap opera writer, and I saw that how much they got paid. I was like, "Oh, like someone gets paid to do that." And it was at that moment that I said, "Okay, I'm a writer, and that's what I want to pursue." And that's what took me to UCLA and initially making the decision, which was really hard because I was recruited to play ball at other places, but not UCLA. And to make that decision that this is what I'm going to do instead of that was really tough. But I felt that strongly that I'm supposed to be a writer. And then getting there and starting to work on student films, I never knew what a director was or did. And suddenly it was like that. I'm a director. Just being in
Wow.
that environment and that, yeah, changed everything.
Side note, every genius that I know went to UCLA, so I'd like
True.
to just talk to my fellow Bruin. And I just want to say we're arguably the dopest Black alumni there when it comes to women that did not play sports. And I'm so proud of us, Gina, giving us our love. But no, I do have a question.
I did run track there though. I did.
You did run to
I
UCLA?
did. Yeah, because I got there and it was like a hole because my whole life I played sports. Um,
Yeah.
so it was like a limb was missing. And so I talked to Bobby Kersey, who was a coach at that time,
Yep.
and joined track and triple jumped until I got into film school.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Oh, I don't even know if I that probably wasn't even well known. Okay, so listen, it's your love for sports. It seems extremely as equally as passionate as your love for being a director. What schools did you decide not to go to play basketball in order to go and pursue your film career at UCLA?
Yeah, there were three: Long Beach State, Pomona, and Columbia. Columbia was
Wow.
close, but
Wow.
yeah. So
Oh,
I went
Gina,
to Sonoma State. Sorry.
you went to what? Say which other one?
Oh, and also Sonoma State was the
Okay.
other. Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. Do you go back to UCLA games at all? Are you a Bruin fan of basketball, football, track still?
Talk
No, not so
talk to
much.
my kids. First of all, their bedrooms, ever since they were babies, UCLA stuff everywhere, all their clothes, UCLA, watching the games, I'm screaming. Like it is a guttural thing with me.
And I know your son is playing baseball at UCLA, right?
So hyped. I'm
Yeah, like I
so
went stalking. Yeah, I was like, oh, this real love. Okay, I love it.
yeah, yeah, no doubt. That ended up happening is incredible. Incredible.
Okay, so we do love in basketball, and it is, from my understanding on the outside looking in, a true success. What's next for you after you do that, or is the next project even more difficult to come by since the first?
Well, right after Love and Basketball, I did Disappearing Acts, um, which was my favorite book. And I had tried to get that gig prior to Love and Basketball, couldn't even get in the room. Then Love and Basketball hit, and then I got in the room and got that. Got to work with Sana again, which was beautiful because after starting like this, which we joke about now, we became great friends and collaborators, and we wanted to work together again. And so that was an easy, yeah, let's do this next thing together.
Yeah, needless, in my opinion, and I don't know because I'm not, again, and I'm talking to you as someone who is not entertainment expert, but I would say you launched her career. Would she disagree?
I say it all the time. Uh, but no, I mean, she was in Best Man, but yeah, certainly Monica took her to another level. Um, and she earned it. Man, she's the dopest. She's so good. Next level. acting, Yale Drama School, but also her work ethic that she displayed in she'd never touched a ball before. And our conflict really came because I had said I was never going to cast someone who couldn't play ball in Love and Basketball. Never. I'd never do that to female athletes. But she was so good performance wise that I gave her a shot and put her with a trainer to see if we could get her to a certain place. Um, but it was tough on her because I was hard because I'm expecting her to be as good as me after like 3, 4 months. And of course she's not. And she felt that pressure. And it was my first thing. I was like, you can't fuck this up. It was my first movie. So it was me learning certainly to be a better director. I'm supposed to inspire, not freak somebody out, you know? Um, and once we got to that place and I started to recognize what she was giving me in that film, in her performance, it really started to thaw everything, and it just became just mutual respect between the two of us.
What you describe is something that is so precious to you that it's hard to give up any type of creative control to anybody else because you know what it looks like. You feel it. It is your life. I understand that. I breathe that. I live that. And for you in the middle of doing your very first work to realize that and self correct is something I couldn't say that most young directors and writers would be able to know right away. I hear all the time about the collisions between actors and directors. I mean, it gets uncomfortable on set.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, especially for someone who is listening, I have so many people I know who want to do exactly what you're doing. Jacques,
Mhm.
one of our editors, you just met exactly what you're doing. You're her hero. How do you evolve into the director you ultimately want to be?
Mhm.
Because I find that so difficult. The working with people when you are creative has to be the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Collaborate, rather.
Yeah, it's you listen, you learn. Um, you also have to have incredible swagger and belief in who you are and your vision because there's so many people in that process that are going to be trying to dent it. Surround yourself with people that believe in you and the vision. Don't ever hire people who are just doing it for a job.
Mm.
Hire good people. One person can poison the entire environment. I cast my crew the way I cast my cast. Like, who are you as a person? Because I love harmony, and it's my job as a director to create the environment that everybody feels good and inspired and safe. Um, and so it starts there, and just again learn. Alfre Woodard gave me such an incredible lesson um, about director actor relationship when we were rehearsing and she rehearsed a scene and it wasn't good and she asked me how she was and I was intimidated. It's Alfre Woodard and I said, oh, that was great. And she looked at me, she said, no, it wasn't. Now I can't
Mm.
trust you. And that crushed me. But it wasn't, it was great. It was a great thing. I've never lied to an actor after that. And she and I are great. So she could have dismissed me, but she taught me in that moment, and I built back that trust with her. So yeah, just create an environment that your actors can trust you. Never break that trust. Never break that trust with your crew.
When you say you cast your crew like you cast your cast, what does that look like? You're like, I need the director of photography to be this person. I need the sound person. Like you're into the weeds like that?
Oh, I talked transportation. Who's going to be in charge of telling what drivers are driving my cast? Like you would think that's not a big deal. That's a huge deal because
Mm.
that car ride on the way there or back is your sacred private space. And I've heard, horror stories. So yeah, I want people who are passionate about the story we're telling. I look beyond the resume, um, because absolutely for women, people of color, our resumes are not as extensive. And it's not because of talent, it's because of a lack of opportunity. And so you have to look beyond the resume. What are you going to bring to this that no one else can bring? I think about The Woman King, which I just did. My production designer, Akeem McKenzie, he didn't have anything close to the size of this film on there. But my God, our interview the connection to the material and telling the story was so guttural. It was inspiring, and I was like, I want him on this journey with me. My editor Terry, who ride or die, she's been there since Love and Basketball. Like, I want somebody who will, I can't say outwork me because you're not going to outwork me, but she's right there with me, believing in it and fighting for it with me. I need people in the fight. I need that type of mentality. You will give me everything. You'll fight for me, fight for the vision. Um, I use fight a lot, but that is this industry. Like, you're constantly
I
fighting,
understand. Understand.
and I
Yeah.
need good people. I've dealt with shitty people, and it's soul crushing. I don't ever want the energy anywhere near me. So you got to be a good person too.
When you are as a director, do you always have that control? Because I could imagine you've been on projects where you didn't have the control to hire the entire crew or cast.
Mhm. No, that's your job as a director.
Oh,
There you
all of
get,
no
yeah.
one
Now
they
you
don't
can
put people on you. They don't like say, "Oh, you gotta put this actor in it." No one from Hollywood is saying, "Oh, you have to put this actor in it."
with casting. It's happened to me twice where I wanted to cast somebody and it didn't. The studio really wanted somebody else because they were a bigger star. Now, in both cases, it worked out. In one case, it was my second choice, and it ended up fine. But I hate that. It's my job. I have to get the performance out of the actor. If I believe that this is a person that's going to embody that character in the best way, like, trust the director. You can't, you can, but it's not good to cast based on social media, which is something Hollywood is starting to do, like looking how many people, how many followers do they have? Well, let's cast that person. You can see movies that flopped that had somebody with a million followers. Like, it should be performance first. Things that are so basic, but Hollywood's a bit twisted. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but it's my job, yeah, absolutely, to pick every
Across
single
the
person.
board. Okay, I love that. Then when I want to go to, and we're going down a list of movies. You've had so many successes. You mentioned Disappearing Act. After Disappearing Act, what did you do? Was it
Secret Life of
Blackbird?
Peace.
A Secret Life of Bees. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then how was that experience? Secret Life of Bees.
Yeah, that was dope because, yeah, Latifah, Alicia, Jennifer,
I
it was
mean,
just,
everybody.
it was crazy. I just remember, like, everyone was so tight on that. And Dakota, she was 13. Her talent was surreal, like
Uh-huh.
literally surreal. And it was a true, like, sisterhood. I hadn't been on something like that where the actors were so bonded together. And I'll never forget. Alicia had to fly out for one day, leave set, fly out to sing at the Super Bowl. And all of us, we put it up on the monitors, and everybody, the entire crew and all the cast, just huddled around the monitor watching Alicia
Mhm.
sing. And then she came back. That was also when As I Am just came out, which is just the album. So to have her sing No One just randomly on set, I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, hi. That's also a bonus when they can sing on set. I I wonder when I look at some of your projects, I think maybe I'm a little close to it, right? So because I am aware of who you are. I'm a huge fan. I follow you. You said to me earlier that you felt people start to pay attention to you with Old Guard. Now that is interesting to me because it was not a theatrical release. It is something that I watched on Netflix and I watch often. And so that is telling to me of where we are in this industry. Every actor I've interviewed, I had Michael Ealy on the other day, and he said, everything is Netflix, TVs, movies. I want to be in movies. Movies are not a thing anymore. It's these specials. How do you feel about the way the business is going? Like theatrical release is not necessarily a big thing anymore, and you have a huge movie coming out. Do you feel like with certain movies they must be experienced in the theater?
Yeah, I feel that honestly about any movie. I
Mm,
love sitting in the theater. There's something about that collective experience with others where you're laughing together, you're crying together, you're feeling together. The way that when you're in a theater, the lights go down and suddenly you get lost, you get enveloped by it. That's an amazing thing. And the bigness of it. So, Beyond the Lights was 7 million. Old Guard was 70. Like, but I feel the same about both. I want both of those. The beauty of Netflix, certainly, and what I didn't realize going in, the feeling of having a movie drop in 190 countries on the same day. That
Mm,
I'd never been global before. I had my entire career was told that my films don't travel overseas. Black films don't travel overseas. So to have that and
mm,
experience that was pretty incredible. But I'm so ecstatic that The Woman King is in theaters. It is
okay.
a big, epic film, and I want us 40 feet
Let's
high.
go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, let me calm down. Let me roll up my sleeves because I'm not okay. Because I'm ready. You dropped that trailer, Gina, and I was like, "Let's fucking go!" Like I'm hyped. That movie, I'm literally looking at, I'm going to Viola's page. I went back to your page. I'm involved in all the rest of the warriors. I don't even know their names. I'm trying to find them. I'm looking on their page. I'm looking at the woman who was doing the workouts, who was training them. I was like, who is this?
Abby,
That bitch is bad, no, no, and that bitch in a good way. I
yeah.
literally was like, this is about to be the best thing that I've ever seen. So, talk to me about The Woman King, how this project came about, and how you decided Viola must be the one.
Well, Viola came with the project. It was a package deal. So that was, I mean, even before I read the script, I was like, damn, if I get a chance possibly to work with Viola. Viola is the way I feel about Serena and Beyonce.
Mm,
Greatness. Like, I don't
mhm.
use the word great very often. I save it for who deserves it. And those are the three that are great. And so the opportunity to be in that type of orbit, to touch and see what greatness feels like. And then I read the script, and I knew within 5 pages, like I was seeing myself. Um, and not only that, the thought of I could put these women up on screen. These are not superheroes. These were real women who did this. And I just think about the normalcy of my life being an athlete and what that means, and everything that means of being loud and aggressive and just stamina and the mentality of wanting to be the best, like all those things that you're taught as an athlete that so many women aren't taught. To be able to put women up on screen that then they can be inspired by and say, I've got that innate warrior in me as well. Like that, I couldn't turn that down.
And I'm glad that you did not. It was perfect. So they you came with Viola. You look, Viola can do no wrong. You know that. So you begin this process. You get the actors, you get the cast the way in which you want it, and you have a vision of what it looks like.
Yeah.
I have no concept of how you take that vision right here and put it on paper, or it's already on paper, and then put it into action. How do you go about that process?
Wow. Um, I mean, it's a lot. It is, but when I was reading it, I started to see it. I knew what I wanted it to be. This phrase came up immediately: intimately epic. I
Mm,
wanted to be connected with these characters and these stunning relationships that move throughout this film, and yet it's telling such a big story about us. And so, in starting there, I started to realize how I wanted to shoot it. I knew cast wise, I knew pretty early on I needed to have Lashana Lynch, had to, needed John Boyega, um, like just people, actors that embodied not only are they dope actors, but what they want to put into the world. Like everybody saw John's amazing video that went viral, imploring black men to protect black women. That's
mm,
the energy he brought to set and to
mm.
this movie. That's why he wanted to do it. Lashana and her whole, man, like she's just such a dope human, and what she believes as a black woman needs to be in the world, what she's going to put her talents to. Viola, of course, but across the board, Tuso, and Sheila and Adrian Warren. I mean, it's just women who wanted to tell this story. Their ancestors wanted to be in a safe space where they could suddenly be themselves, not have to hide any aspect of themselves that you often have to do on sets or in a role or on a movie. This was us. This was our playground, so everybody. brought that. And so for me, and they were believing in the vision. And for me, it was authenticity. This is a real story that's been hidden from us, which is effed up. Like our history in America, what we're taught is that it begins with enslavement, and there is so much more. And now we get to give us that more. And so it was that let's give this story the bigness it deserves.
Okay, so wait, I just had a thought and help me process this because I want to go back to telling our stories in a simple love story and how Hollywood, the industry would say, okay, I don't necessarily think this is going to be a success. Too many black characters. We don't need a black lead. But here we have, and while maybe Love and Basketball couldn't be done today in the theater, you said it could be a Netflix movie. Here we have The Woman King, which is also telling our stories, right?
Yeah.
Could that story have been told when Love and Basketball was in the
Hell
theaters?
no.
Yeah,
Black Panther changed the game. Um,
right.
it broke a dam. It was seismic and showed, even though we all knew it, like we always had to keep proving ourselves over and over and over, that
Yeah,
people want to see us up on screen. But Black
sure.
Panther, that $1 billion made others say, okay, maybe there's an audience here for this. Maybe other audiences could look up on screen and it doesn't matter that these characters are black, they can identify with them. In the same way that we go and watch like The Notebook. Like I love that movie. I identify with those characters. Or Slumdog Millionaire, one of my favorite movies. I identify with those characters. So, but for some reason, Hollywood can't twist it for us. Um, but Black Panther changed that.
Okay, so give us the story of the Woman King by way of background. Based on a true story, which most of us do not know because we do not know this because we're not taught this. And you're right, it does begin with enslavement. That's our history lesson, right? Begin there. Tell
Yeah,
everyone about the Woman King.
yeah. It's about a group of women who were warriors within their kingdom, and it was their job to protect the kingdom, protect the people, and um, and it was a society that was the only society in all of Africa where women had an equal voice in the government and in society. Um, so with the council, for every man there was a woman in the equal position. These Agoji women were respected, had say, could earn money, had a voice. It was just different. And but not only that, the beauty of their sisterhood. These are women who lived together, fought together, died together. Um, what does that mean? What does that feel like to be able to see women living like that, behaving like that? That was a pretty stunning thing that permeated Offset. That was the dopest thing for me. The
Mhm.
connection these sisters had that they brought to the screen. Like that's what you want as a director, to create that type of environment that then I can feel, you put up on screen and then an audience can feel.
It sounds like an alternate universe where no, seriously, you're like, does that exist? Especially in the day and age which we live in, Roe versus Wade being reversed, right? Is That's an alternate universe. That's what it sounds like, and in the fact that it's based off of a true story is very I mean, in every single way it sounds very inspiring because you said something earlier where the women are allowed to be themselves in every aspect, because oftentimes we are told, especially as black women, to turn down in certain areas,
Oh
turn
my
your
God.
voice down, turn your spirit down, turn your aggression down. And it seems that everything that we have been told not to be, because it's too much, right? Whatever too much is in theory is what we're going to see in this film.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
going to be celebrated.
It is so celebrated. And it's it's not only who they are and who they get to be with each other, but also these sisters were, they they were legit warriors. Like they were the army that defended. And yet they fought alongside men, but they were the primary defenders. They trained 24/7. And not only with fighting, but also with dancing. Dance was a huge part of their culture, and they created these elaborate choreographed dances before they were going to go to war to celebrate each other, celebrate the king. So we got to infuse our film with that, which was a lot on the actors. Like, not only are you weight training and fight training, but now you got to learn dance as well.
And I
And
know
so
you was like, "That's you off by a beat. Count it. Take it from the top." And 1, 2 I can see you in there being like, "Girl, you missed a step. Get it right." Gina don't play. I already know. I
and
can't I can see
that's
it.
the thing. I need actors that match that energy, and they did. Like, they want to be great, and that type of
Mhm.
energy across everybody wanting to be great. Like, that's what you want. And I don't know if you saw the training video that was put out of, like, that's just like that much of what they did. That was months, 6 days a week, doing that, and just doing it because they wanted to be great, and
And
because
they
I
looked
told
amazing. They looked
yeah,
amazing.
yes.
Amazing. I was looking at Viola's arms. I was like, "All right, Viola, you ready? Go ahead."
No, Viola, we talked about her arms. Lashana, her back is glorious.
Yeah.
Tuso with the six pack. Um, but that's the beauty of it. Also, they would celebrate each other in terms of their bodies. And how often, do
Mm.
we hear, "Oh, that looks mannish"? Nah, this is beautiful. And all these women are, which was important, just they all look different. Like, these are not Amazons, is Western colonizers used to call these women. They called them Amazons. Nah, it's like we want every type of body type represented. You just have to be athletic, but that can mean anything. Tuso's 5'3". Sheila Team is 6 foot. Like, but they're both badass. So that was the beauty of what we were putting together as well.
I'm excited for it. And the response has been, I'm sure, because I'm reading the comments, even on social media. I said the response is, well, when is it? Today? Tomorrow? When can we watch? Because when you released the trailer, how did you feel? When you dropped the trailer, you were like, let me just press send and see how people respond.
This is the first time in my career that I loved the first trailer that they put together. I mean, I had a couple notes here or there, but I got addicted to it. And especially, it was like a perfect combination of that song and the images. And when Beyonce's voice hits and the beat drops, like, it does something to you. Like, you get hyped. And then I show Viola, and Viola went nuts. That was amazing. And the actors, like they said, they got addicted to it. And so I felt like, if I'm feeling this way, let's put it out. But you still never know. Like, you can have a thought, a hope, but you never know. And the reaction to it was incredibly beautiful, because
Mm.
it felt like we've been starving and didn't know it. And
No, correct. That's a beautiful way to describe it. That's a beautiful way to describe it. We've been starving and we didn't know it. I've never seen anything like that. We saw it in Black Panther, hints of it in the Dora Milaje, and we would call, like, I have a group chat, named that after that, right?
probably,
Like, yeah, we do, like, we're just like, we're ready. We were starving and we didn't know it. And I don't know if you, which I'm sure you're keenly aware of, but your calling really amplifies our message and who we are, and you celebrate us in spite of a world that often tells us we should not be celebrated. Um, you mentioned Serena and Beyonce, obviously the greatest. Watching Serena play in what we thought would have been her last match, she
whew,
didn't realize how loved she was. She last night, for her to walk into that stadium where she has had so much trouble, as we well know, right? I'm threatening you with the ball. You're calling me a liar. It came full circle to see. So I mean, that crowd truly willed her to win, and she felt all of this love, and she felt celebrated. And for us as Black women, we are starving. We are thirsty for that. It's
yeah,
so hard to find it.
it is so hard to find it. And so we find it in each other. And right now, it's I wish I was there. I wish I could have felt that, because
Okay. You fly out on Wednesday. I mean, you got a movie to do, but maybe in between movie. No, but I wouldn't doubt it, Gina, if the Serena story, the biopic, you are directing that. So there's time. We will feel it again, right? There is time.
You know
Um,
what my
I
favorite things I have? I have, like, sports memorabilia. I have a ball. I went to see Serena play years ago, and,
Mhm.
at the end of the match, she signed the ball, and she, hit it into the air, into the stands. It was like all my athletic ability was for a purpose because I did this amazing, like, stretch over reach, one-handed grab of the ball. I think I took it from a kid, and at that
that's
moment, I didn't care. It's Serena, and now I have a ball signed by Serena.
Hey, he look, it was his fault. Look, let me tell you something. Every man for himself, every one man for himself. Sorry, 5-year-old. Get your own ball. You
Okay.
have more life. You are editing. Are you editing Woman King right now?
This is the last day today where I am looking at the final vis effects and making sure that all of it looks good, and then it's
How are
done.
we? How are we feeling about the project overall?
Um, I love watching it. So there's incredible anxiety where I love the film and I hope that the world loves it. It's like putting your child into the world to be on their own and you can't protect it anymore. It's that, but the actors just watched it today and yesterday for the first time. That was hella anxiety inducing, and the calls and texts that I've just gotten is everything that I hoped. They went through an incredible journey that was really tough, absolutely beautiful, but really tough. And I just wanted them to be proud of the work and know that everything they put in was worth it. And based on what I'm seeing, they feel it was worth it.
Where do you get your fight? Where do you get your tenacity and your relentless pursuit of greatness?
Certainly sports and everything that teaches you. Um, and a bit of rage, certainly to prove a large swath of people wrong.
Is rage underrated in the sense that it's useful? Like it is useful, right?
It is useful. I used to say, and pretty recently, that it's unhealthy, but I'm gonna stop saying that. It's what drives me, and that's okay. Um, we all have a thing, and it's that's my thing, and it makes me work harder. If it manifested itself in destructive ways, that's something different, but it pushes me absolutely. So I'm gonna say that it's a positive.
How do you what is the rage you talk of? Is it in your belly? Is it when you see unjust things in the world? Is it you're tired of being overlooked in your space? What is the rage?
The rage comes from a childhood of being invisible and dismissed and disparaged. Uh, yeah, just growing up in the environment that I did and being told that I was less than.
And you turn that into something for good.
Yes, I
I
hope.
I you hope it's clear, right? As from what I can see, at least from what I can see, I'm excited about the Woman King. I read that you're not doing the old guard too because you have other projects, I guess, other commitments. Is that
I
accurate?
mean,
Is that it?
we're shooting it now.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, I didn't know
I,
that.
yeah, and I just shot the Woman King. So yeah, and I'm not a like with sequels is an interesting thing for me. When I go into a film, it's because I have something to say or a story to tell, and once I do that, I don't feel like, oh, I got to keep telling the story, you know. So, and when I got the Woman King script, it was like, oh no, this is what I have to do. So that was an easy call.
Well, I'm glad that you are able to see the fruits of your labor in the sense that people know who you are and you are beyond worthy, excellent among excellent. I'm sure you're better than most of your male contemporaries in some aspect. And I'm referring to like white male contemporaries because we can always do their job better than them. But I am so happy that you, because it's hard for us when you're in it, can see it. Um, you have this wonderful project coming out with the Woman King, and I think it's going to be special. I don't know what happens for you after it. I don't know if it. you can pick and choose. I don't know if you tell different versions of the story. I don't know what comes next, but doesn't it feel special? Like, don't you feel that it feels special?
On this one, yes, the reaction of the few who've seen it has been what you dream of as a filmmaker
Mhm.
or an artist, to have your work move somebody to that degree. Um, yeah. So yeah, I think
And
this
you're
one.
measured. I hear you being measured. I get it. You know, you're just like, and I'm the same way when it comes to my projects. I'm like, well, let's just okay. Like, we always have to be measured. I understand it's the nature of the business. If someone's, and I'll let you go with this. I have a lot of people listening who want to be Gina or who are in the pursuit of having a career like yours. Talk to me about what advice, because that's such a cliche thing to ask, but you often get heard, what should I be doing? Like, it's not like go to this school, go to that school, but what is the foundation that needs to be created if they want to be a successful director in this business?
Mhm. For me, it's absolutely doing projects that you are passionate about.
Mm,
And I learned that very early, when I almost took on something to get in the door as opposed to doing it because I cared about it. This industry is too hard, too hard. You're going to get 1,000 no's. And the only thing that keeps you going is if you're doing it for a reason, that there's a reason for you to tell this story, that you're the only person that could tell this story, that you're more
mm,
passionate about this story, that you have a cause bigger than yourself. Like, me and my work is not just about me. It's like I'm driven to put us up on the big screen, and that fuels the fight. I mean, my husband just the other day, when I was having a fight with the studio about the Woman King, um, and he's like, "This, you're not just alone in a room against them. You've got all of us. You've got the ancestors behind you."
yeah.
That's a powerful thing to keep with you. And so, just living in that type of space, because again, this is really hard. You need stamina. You got to have fight, and you have
Yeah.
to have passion to fuel it. So, and then do the work. Like, it's not enough to talk about it. When people come up and say, "Oh, I have this idea." Everybody has ideas. Can you execute it? Come to me with a script. Um, do the work, because that's what I had to do. John Singleton, I'll never forget. Um, I was writing Love and Basketball. Boys in the Hood came out. Obviously, was
Everything.
everything. And he was speaking on a panel, and I went because I wanted to meet him, and I wanted him to help me get Love and Basketball made. And I waited literally half hour as he was just surrounded. And finally, I got my one little shot, and I'm hella shy. So for me to even like get the courage to go up to him was a big thing. And I finally got my little pocket of 10 seconds, and said, I have this script I'm writing, Love and Basketball, and I really, how could you help me? And he was like, I can't help you. I'm trying to help myself. Uh, which, sounds like crazy, but it's absolutely true. Like, he's still trying to get his stuff off. What can he do? I'm not handing him a script. I'm not, what can he do? So I was like, oh, damn, at first. And then I was like, okay, well, then let me go back home and keep doing the work and write this damn script and do what I can to get it out there. So, work.
I'm glad that you said that, because trust me, how many times when someone hands you a project and say, can you read this? What's your normal response? How do you handle that?
The absolute truth is, I actually can't, because gosh forbid I have an idea that's even close to similar. If I read
Oh,
it, I'm screwed, because then you're going to accuse me of stealing your idea. And that happens a lot in this industry. So it's really a legal thing. And two, like, as soon as this movie's over, I'm writing my next one. And so it is. I already have like my next two movies lined up, and I don't want people to take offense. I just don't have time. If I know you, I'm going to read your script. If I
mhm.
don't know you, it's hard just because of time. to get me to sit down. But every once in a while, I do it, and there's nothing better than discovering a new voice.
Mhm.
A beautiful thing. So, and then you get excited because I now have the power to help. So, um, every once in a while, someone slips through the cracks and gets there.
Without it's meant to be. Then it's meant to be when that happens, right?
It
Yeah.
absolutely.
Gina, you are everything. You really, really are. And you mentioned being shy. I don't necessarily sense shy, but I sense this humility that you have, which I think is so rare for the projects that you've done. This business can really fool people and inflate their egos and make them think. But there is such a sense of, like I said, measuredness about you. I'll make up that word, and it's refreshing and it's also encouraging. Um, because everyone needs to remind themselves of why we're doing it. And your husband's like, your ancestors are with you. This is for they like, yes, absolutely, they are with us in every single way, in everything that we do, in every room that we're in. We're not alone, and that is always encouraging for me.